Another wine from Fox and Fox. This is their Tradition. It's a Blanc de Noirs, the 2014 vintage. So Tradition is just their, I don't know, cuvée name or whatever you call it for their Blanc de Noirs. This isn't actually 100% Pinot Noir. I think the breakdown is in fact 95% Pinot Noir and a tiny bit of Chardonnay to top it up. I bought this in Amethyst in Soho. It's a wine shop I've been into once or twice before. I'll perhaps show you a little bit of footage of the inside of the shop. They have a modest selection of English sparkling, a good range from this producer, Fox and Fox, and then good old stalwart Night Timber on the shelves. So this has had, I think, about 4 years at least on the lees. I think it was disgorged in 2019. That's where the lees, those sort of dead grey-brown yeast cells, I suppose it's a bit like Marmite in a way, isn't it? That sludge is removed from the bottle and a new cork, or I guess the first cork, is put back in 2019. So it's then had another 5 years of aging in the state that we find it now. Sometimes that's called aging under cork. So this is a pretty venerable wine. I'm tasting this in May just 2024. It's getting on for a decade. I like the colour of this as a first off, as always. This is a plastic glass, so apologies that you're not getting a perfect view of it. You know, I'm in a public park. It's, I think, a bit irresponsible to bring along glass in case you break it, which I often do. Deep sort of gold colour to that, which suggests to me this a lot of Pinot influence. Getting a sort of rich, creamy, almost buttery sort of start to that. Now a bit of fruit is coming through, soft red berry fruit and possibly a bit of stone fruit, something like strawberry in there, apricot-y, nectarine-y sort of area on the stone fruit side. I'm putting mind of scones and clotted cream and strawberry jam and nectarine jam and so on. Really tangy, lovely zing to that. Getting some, possibly a bit of apple, maybe red apple on the palate. Gentle bubbles, small but gentle sort of bubble sensation on the tongue. Quite good volume to that. I love that tart apple tanginess to it. And that kind of luxurious nose, that sort of buttery, clotted creamy almost nose continues onto the palate, the mouthfeel there. All feels quite sort of luxurious and tiny bit of possibly dried fruit note coming through now on the nose. Dates or sultanas. There is a good hit of sugar to this. Certainly not cloyingly, sickeningly sweet. Something noticeably sweet in a pleasant, appealing way about that. And that could be just reflecting the fruit character rather than that dosage, which is certainly not extremely high. Something like 8.6 grams a litre. I really like that. It's not overly sweet, it's not cloyingly sweet. Don't panic. There are some nice honey-like notes in this, and actually a little bit of something like brown sugar, indulgent, desserty sort of feel, but it's not too sweet. Nice balance, nice bit of tanginess is really the word that comes to mind with this rather than zinginess. For some reason, I don't know why, there's some particular character of that acidity that reminds me more of tang rather than zing. I think I'm getting something like golden syrup, sort of treacle. It is really well balanced with that tanginess, that zinginess, and I think that makes something quite beautiful. I think we've demonized sweetness in drinks over the last decade or two. Possibly this goes all the way back to Liebfrau milk, Blue Nun in the 1980s, and there's this sense that any sweet tasting, particularly wine, is obviously therefore bad for it, and you know, you can only enjoy something if it's incredibly dry. Everything's got to be dry, but sugar is nice. Like I say, the dosage certainly isn't on the very high side. 8.6 or something was it per litre. That's kind of well within Brut, quite on the lower side of the Brut spectrum, in fact. Even this was a 2014 vintage. I don't recall the weather conditions. Perhaps that was a reasonably warm year. 2018 was a famously hot year in England. Maybe 2014 was pretty warm as well. Don't recall. If they've managed to produce an abundant amount of sugar just from the grapes, then, you know, well done them. I'm quite impressed. It's England after all. I don't feel like we should be embarrassed by sugar. It's not always a bad thing. This is delicious, and a big part of why I'm enjoying it is because of those balanced but definitely present sweet notes. It's lovely. And a lot of zing.